Every Filipino knows what crab mentality is. You've seen it. Maybe you've done it. Maybe someone has done it to you. The moment a Filipino starts rising, getting recognition, building something, succeeding in a space others haven't entered yet, and instead of support, what arrives first is the pull, the whisper, the comment section, the group chat, the akala mo kung sino, the shade dressed up as concern. Crab mentality, Utak Talangka, is so embedded in Filipino self-awareness that the country has a specific name for it in its own language. Filipinos don't need it explained, they need it examined. Because in no industry is its cost more visible, more documented, and more devastating than in Filipino music. We have already asked on this channel why Filipino singers, among the most gifted in the world, are not globally famous. We have already looked at SB19 being mocked at their first press conference, their looks ridiculed, their concept dismissed before a single album was released. We have looked at Beanie being tested by the same audience that now calls them ours. Those weren't isolated incidents, they were symptoms of a pattern. And that pattern has a name, a history, and a cost that can be measured. This is the Filo Lens, and here's a statement summarizes our topic today. Filipino crab mentality is killing its own music industry, and we all know it. The term itself was coined by Filipino-American writer Ninoch Carrasco, a Filipino, naming a Filipino pattern from the image of crabs in a bucket, pulling each other down as one tries to escape. The phrase Utak Talangka followed, crab brain, the mindset of, if I can't have it, neither can you. Psychologists describe it as a specific form of lateral aggression, hostility directed not upward toward those with power, but sideways toward peers who are beginning to outpace the group. It is distinct from ordinary envy. Envy wants what someone else has. Lateral aggression wants to make sure they don't have it either. And research traces its roots in the Philippines directly to colonialism. Under Spanish rule for 333 years, then American rule for nearly half a century, Filipinos operated inside a system where resources were scarce, social mobility was tightly controlled, and success for one person often genuinely came at the expense of another. In that kind of zero-sum environment, pulling down a rising peer was not irrational, it was survival logic. The tragedy is that the environment changed after independence. The survival logic did not. Crab mentality was a rational response to colonial scarcity. It became an irrational response to post-colonial opportunity. The National Economic and Development Authority has identified it as one of the cultural factors affecting national development. It is not an abstraction. It has a cost. In the Filipino music industry, crab mentality operates through three specific mechanisms. Each one has a measurable cost. Mechanism 1, the gatekeeping. For decades, OPM was controlled by a small number of television networks and recording companies whose commercial interests determined which artists got airtime, which songs got promoted, and which sounds were considered legitimate Filipino music. Artists outside this system, the ones with raw talent and no network connection, were systematically excluded. Not because their music was inferior, because they threatened the established hierarchy. The Itchy Worms, one of OPM's most respected independent acts, said it plainly. It's a common misconception that OPM is inferior to other countries' music. That's the crab mentality of Filipinos with everything locally made. The dismissal came not just from foreign audiences, it came first from Filipinos themselves. Mechanism 2,
the online mob. SB 19 debuted in 2018. The ridicule was immediate. Not from foreign critics who didn't understand P-pop, from Filipino comment sections that did. Their looks were attacked. Their concept was called derivative. Their ambition was treated as delusion. Stel was face-shamed for years. The same pattern met Beanie. The same pattern has met almost every Filipino act that dared to position itself for a global audience rather than staying safely domestic. The mechanism is consistent. A Filipino act reaches upward, and the first hands that reach back are pulling, not lifting. By the time international audiences discover the act, Filipino audiences have already spent months trying to disqualify them. Mechanism 3. The internal industry competition. Filipino music has historically struggled to build collaborative infrastructure, the kind that K-pop built deliberately, where companies co-invest, artists cross-promote, and the ecosystem grows the pie for everyone. Instead, competition between networks, labels, and fandoms has kept Filipino music fragmented. Artists who could have collaborated instead competed. Resources that could have built shared platforms instead fueled rivalries. The result is an industry that generates extraordinary individual talent and then watches that talent fight each other for a domestic market too small to sustain global ambition. The music was never the problem. The ecosystem around the music was.
But something is changing, and the evidence is not in one artist. It is in the pattern. What once looked impossible is gradually becoming normal across genres, platforms, and audiences nationwide. Arthur Nery has quietly become one of the most collaborative artists in today's OPM scene, not by fighting for the top spot, but by consistently choosing to build with others. His 2025 collaboration with Jolian on Palayo sa Mundo reflects something larger happening across Filipino music, artists increasingly choosing partnership over rivalry. Two voices creating something neither could build alone. Collaboration is not new in music, but in an industry historically shaped by territorial competition between acts and labels, choosing it deliberately carries meaning. Hev Abi made that shift even clearer. An independent hip-hop artist with no TV network or major label machinery behind him, he built his audience through the music itself. Walang Galam, Amo Ba Girl, and Burgess with Flo G. He sold out the New Frontier Theatre and toured Australia and New Zealand on a fan base built entirely outside the traditional system. His rise proved that the old gatekeeping structure, which once kept outsider talent invisible regardless of merit, is no longer the only path to success. The door you build yourself is now a real door. ALAMAT, the P-pop group built around representing the Philippines regions, also said what crab mentality has long needed someone to say publicly. Member Mo described the joy of encouraging aspiring artists to follow what their hearts are calling them toward. In an industry that once treated every emerging act as a threat, framing encouragement as something worth celebrating becomes a form of resistance. The platforms are now building the infrastructure the industry failed to create on its own. Coke Studio Philippines was designed to force the kind of collaboration crab mentality once discouraged, pairing artists from different genres and making them create together instead of compete for the same lane. Spotify's Radar Philippines is giving visibility to artists based on the music rather than connections. The gatekeepers are not gone, but they are no longer the only gate.
The old Filipino music industry operated on one model: compete for a limited number of slots controlled by a small number of people. The emerging model is different. Grow the ecosystem because a bigger ecosystem creates more space for everyone. The artists succeeding today understand that, and increasingly, they are saying it out loud. You cannot pull someone down from a stage the whole world is watching. The smartest artists in OPM have stopped trying and started building the stage instead.
Crab mentality did not come from nowhere. It came from centuries of being told that success was a limited resource, that someone else rising meant you falling, that the bucket was the only world available. That is a colonial lesson, and like most colonial lessons, it outlasted the colony. But the bucket was never the whole world. Filipino music is proving that right now, globally, loudly, undeniably. The artists we're breaking through are not doing it by pulling others down. They're doing it by building something big enough that the bucket becomes irrelevant. The question is not whether Filipino music can make it globally. It already has. The question is whether Filipino audiences will choose to be part of the lift or stay in the bucket waiting to pull. The world is watching Filipino music. The only thing that can stop it now is us. This is the Filo Lens. We'll see you in the next one.